Hey everybody, welcome to the Combo Wombo podcast. I am Mr. Gimpy, and as always, I am with Chipped Monk. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what's happening, man? I almost wanted to do the intro with you just to mess with you. And I was like, don't do it. They're like, why?
It's
Why? We
just
made it this yeah, just yeah.
cut, restart. What
Yeah.
are you doing, bro?
I'd be like, oh, I thought this was I know we said you were gonna do it, but I thought maybe I would do it instead. It's like, what the why? Why, man?
Just
Yeah,
fucking with a
dude, I'm
good
doing
thing.
great.
That's
I'm
all.
living out here, living my best life. I had a huge well, it was gonna be like a big like cookout, like barbecue outside, and then like nobody showed up except me and like my buddy, and like yeah, I
Okay.
think everybody doesn't like to do social things anymore because they've been inside so long, and they're just like, I'm about my own shit now. I don't have time for cookouts
I believe
uh,
that. I
and
believe that.
bullshit. They're like, I don't have time for your bullshit. Like it's just about Uber Eats and fucking Grubhubs, dude. Like, bring me the food to the door. I don't want to go outside to
Yeah.
interface with humans
Yeah.
anymore.
I went to a funeral yesterday, and when I got back
Fucking
pretty early,
what
let me
a
just
what a downer. Yeah,
yeah,
dude. I'm like,
right.
going outside, you're like, yeah, I just went to a funeral, bro. And they're like, what the fuck?
No, no.
You just
So,
suck the
so
fucking
my
energy
point,
right out of the room.
my point being, like, I got
Someone put a
back,
fucking slide whistle. They're like,
I got back pretty early, so it was just me who went. So wife and kids were home, so it's like it's nice as hell out today. So let's play outside. So I got everything
just do
ready,
some
and
living.
I'm like, I could have people over right now, and just like either barbecue or just chill on the patio, and then I got to thinking, I'm like, no one wants to hang out with in pandemic. So it's like, what do I do? So just literally it was just the family, just
Yeah.
hanging out. So because I think we'll get back to cookouts and stuff being the norm, but I think it's like still kind of fresh,
I
just
don't
to
know. I feel like everywhere else except here, because like we have like such long winters and shit, where uh we don't necessarily have the ability to like hang outside as much. I feel like everywhere else in the country, like people don't give a fuck. They've already been out hanging out,
yeah.
having like cookouts and stuff. I feel like only here in like the frigid Midwest where like it gets -20, where it's like 4 months out of the year where like already in like a self lockdown
Yeah,
of like trying to survive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
I think
get
like it's
that
harder for us to like spin back up where we're just like, fuck it, I'm already living.
for
It's
sure.
a great weather. It was like snowing literally last week here, dude. Like
Yeah, yeah. Then it's 80 yesterday, so
it's a game changer.
it
You
is.
gotta get
It
out there and
is.
enjoy get while the sun's shining, make
It's
the
one of those
hay.
things like in the Midwest is once it hits like above freezing, you get like that first like 50-degree day, people are like busting out shorts, and
They're busting out jorts, dude.
yeah, for sure, for sure they are busting out shorts, and anyone who like lives in a climate where it's like warm all the time, they're like, you're wearing shorts at 50 degrees. What the fuck's wrong with you? And that's, it's the norm here. It's
It's
is
great.
what it is. So I was talking about games that I've been playing lately. After 63 hours, I finally beat Neo 2. Uh,
Finally. How was it,
Finally,
man?
yeah, it was amazing, man. It solidified its top spot in my action games list. It actually
Nice.
overtook Ninja Gaiden 2, um, or Ninja
All
Gaiden
right.
Black, I should say, and
What about Ninja Gaiden 1?
on the NES.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I consider those two different categories. Like, one's like an action platformer, one's more of a hack and slash kind of a thing. So, but yeah, yeah, it was a fantastic game. Uh, it had the same issue that the first game had, where it has like a really good boss fight, like 3 steps before the true final boss fight, where the true final boss fight in the first game was a pushover and very
Yeah.
easy. Same thing with this game, where I'm pretty sure I beat it in 2 tries.
Was it you telling me this? I want to say it was you, where it's like you can like, it was like this in like Shovel Knights, where they're like the bosses were easy, but I can't tell if they're easy because like they were just like really like easy to read and beat, or because the game taught me the mechanics so well
Oh,
that I
it
could
was
implement them by the time I got to the boss and like just destroy it because the game like taught me how to play the game better during like my time with it.
it was when I was playing Cuphead and we were talking about that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So does it feel like was it an easy boss or did you just get good, as the
It's
kids say?
it's definitely like looking back as I streamed it. Looking back at the stream, I think it's the game taught me how to play it. So the final boss shifts into like three different yokai forms, and each time it shifted, I knew exactly how to counter that shift or what to look out for, and it had like area of effect attacks, but I'd recognize the animation that where it was like charging it up. So yeah, I guess the game did a great job of like preparing me for this. The there's a couple of really good fights where it kept you on your toes, where you had to have your counters like perfect, otherwise you just like ate the ton of damage. So, but yeah, really good game. Uh, I it's a hard recommend though because you know the game is like notoriously difficult. So
Yep.
I'd say if you like the Dark Souls, you know, Sekiro, all of that, all those types of games, um, definitely give Neo 2 a chance. I think that the Dark Souls fans will have take issue with the instanced worlds, just because there's no like world cohesive level design. Um, but also, I think that if you take the time to learn the combat and all the different weapons and the fact that your number stats and your armor really mean nothing and it's more of like weight and like the effects that matter, because like I beat the game like running one of the first armor sets you get in the game just because I liked how it looked.
Yeah.
And I just kept like leveling that up and doing this what's called soul matching to give it new abilities. So like I gained extra life from just having a full set on that on. I was resistant to paralysis completely just because I like leveled it and altered how it was. So um, definitely a game where you can min max, and but you have to stay on your toes because of the combat being so visceral and so fluid and so quick. And like I said before, adding a I'm about to sneeze, so excuse me, but adding a like active reload mechanic that Neo 1 did, where it's like Gears of War, where you have to hit right bumper, you know, to charge your key to keep your attacks going. It really added a lot to the melee focused combat, where like games like Dark Souls, Hellpoint, uh, missing like another one. Like we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Lords of the Fallen, where your stamina goes and there's no, and you have to just wait for it to charge back up. This game, you could keep it going, and the stamina's like charge up. So it was good stuff. I again, I don't really do new game pluses. I think I'm gonna go and do the DLC next. I'm gonna take like a week break though, because I
Yeah.
like after 60 hours, I think I think I've
You good.
experienced it enough. Yeah, yeah. But it was good stuff, man. So now, any games that you've played the last couple days, or are you just chilling in real life, or
I've just been like chilling. I've been going out enjoying the weather mostly. Like I've been outside.
yeah,
Like most of my weekend was just spent outside. During the week, I had like I took a vacation from work the week before. So when I got back to work finally, I was like, I need like a secondary vacation just to recover from the vacation when I'm back at work, dude. So I don't
it's a
know.
real
I did.
thing.
Like you need a break just to recover from the break, honestly.
It's true.
I messed around with Unity a little bit. I started trying to make like a random generator. So I kind of got that working. Whereas like I could like spawn random objects. So
Yeah.
I did a little bit of that, and then that was it. Like I didn't go in too deep. I was like, let me try and like mess around with this while I listen to these audiobooks. And so I got a little bit working, and then I was like, all right. And I was like, I kind of have an idea. And then I thought I wrote down like this game prototype, and then
Okay.
I started checking my notebook, and I didn't see it in there. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? Uh, Interesting enough, it was like a prototype for like a roguelike game where it's 3 by 3, like a grid.
Okay.
And like you just like kind of move your piece across and then like oh, there's a lot of modes like this now almost in a lot of like the mobile games as well. But
Yes.
like the first time I saw it was like an HTML5 game from like a game jam. where someone did like a card roguelike.
Yep.
Uh, and I was like, this is cool. It was kind of like Slay the Spire if you played as the card and the card leveled up instead of like
Gotcha.
using the cards to fight.
Yeah.
So like the further you get, uh, you obtain points, and then like you can buy more stuff at like the when you died because you're gonna die. But I like that concept, and I was like, I kind of want to do. I want to do that. I just want to rip it off, honestly. Uh, I want to do like something like Advance Wars, but like a simplified version.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I really think that, and I've always thought this, especially since my love for roguelikes has been apparent, and I think that everyone who's been listening to the podcast over the past however many episodes realize
10 years.
that I keep slipping in like references to roguelikes. Like I said, I've been playing Loop Hero again, Slay the Spire. I've mentioned Binding of Isaac's my favorite roguelike of all time. You mentioning that, I feel Advance Wars is one of my favorite like turn based strategy games ever,
Yeah,
and I really think that its gameplay would lend itself very well to a roguelike.
yeah, man.
It'll I imagine it'll be kind of like FTL or Into the Breach, where because it's like grid based turn based combat and stuff that could really work, and also Advanced Wars storytelling, like it's so like quick and to the point where it would work in a roguelike setting. So that's a great idea, man.
It is.
Um,
Those are the only kind I have, bro.
we only have great ideas.
Yeah, just like nonstop billion-dollar IPs, bro. I'm just like writing them in my notebook, like, and I'm like, if I wish I had more time in the day to do all these great ideas. This is my hugest flaw is being human and like having to sleep, honestly, and have a job to pay for everything. If I just had
Pet pills
infinite
brought to
time
you
and
by.
money, I'd be
uh,
set, bro.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, well, it's interesting you're looking into making a roguelike. I've been playing
It's,
them. Well, I've never stopped playing them, right? But I've been playing them a lot more, especially with with um, with working, because like when I would always bring like my either my everyone brings their phone to work, but I'd bring my Nintendo Switch as well. So like on a quick like 15-minute break or whatever, I would just knock out a run of Binding of Isaac real quick. And sometimes like I'd be a really good run, and I'm like, well, I beat the mother. I'm going over to the next to the depths, and now I'm fighting Satan himself.
yeah,
And so I'm like, okay, this run now has went from probably a 10-minute thing to 35 minutes. Luckily, I was in charge. So when I came back after 35 minutes, they're like, Scott, what the hell? And I'm like, hey, don't worry
I
about
am the
me.
manager.
Yeah, right.
Guess what, Holmes? I am the manager.
Right,
Get
right,
off my
right.
back.
I'm like, hey, deal with it. Have you? Did
Yeah,
you? Did you just fight through the depths of hell in your day? What have you been doing? Nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You see
So
your work, Timmy.
just yeah, exactly. So it's just
Yeah, no,
being
like
very
the
defensive.
did you pick up the new Binding of Isaac
Yes, I did.
DLC that they how did you feel about that? I heard it balanced a lot of issues. They fixed some of the game breaking things where it's like if you get like these two or three items, like you basically win. Like for the infinite runners or like the streamers who always like
So
go for like those things.
well, those issues, and I know we talked about this in a podcast prior, and I looked into that too. Those issues were fixed with like a hot fix update, because Rebirth was the first remake of Binding of Isaac. Then Afterbirth came out, and Afterbirth introduced some of the things you mentioned of having two or three items where you could just it's just like instant win. Afterbirth Plus came out for a free. It was a free upgrade, and that fixed everything. And then now the final DLC's out, which I can't remember. I think it's Repentance is what it's called or something like that. But yeah, and then that added so much stuff where I can't even go into it, from the new bosses, new stages. It's incredible, and I'm loving it. It definitely breathed new life into a game that I've been playing like consistently for years now, and
Yeah, it's kind of
um,
weird because I feel like they're doing basically a seasonal pass, but right without it being like an actual seasonal pass. But they're like, oh, this is DLC, but it's basically like a what most other studios would be like. This is part two, like by Binding of Isaac's two. Like they're
yeah,
just like, oh, this is just some like cheap DLC you can get in
they're
that. It's like a
they're
value
doing
add.
what big box games did in the early 2000s and the 90s. It's just like, you remember when you had to buy like full on expansions to the games,
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. So you had like Half Life, and then you had Half Life Opposing Force, and where it's just
Yeah.
complete add-on. That's the model they're going with, and it's incredible, man. I can't speak highly enough about it. And the they also added like true co-op into the game.
No.
So like I
Like
Rogue
local or online?
local, but through Steam Remote Play. I mean, you
Oh
could do
shit.
it.
Yeah.
Uh, so the previous game, to when you were co-op, you just hit start on another controller and you became a ghost with only like 3 hit points, and it was super bare bones, and like the co-op person could do basically nothing. You just had your main bullet and you're shooting that.
Yeah.
Now
They
you
call it like girlfriend mode.
Yeah, yeah. Now you are actually another instance of whatever character of Isaac you choose. You have your own character. You have your own health points. You have your own power ups and stuff. And it's like one of the big things for me. I have another buddy who loves roguelikes just as much as I do. Sir Trek, shout out. Him and I were going through Spelunky 2, and we did 20XX and Sir Solace as well, with Nuclear Throne. Him and I just fucking just dominated that game and played it a ton. So
Nice.
Binding of Isaac being my favorite roguelike, the chance to actually share that with another person is great for me because I've I've put so many hours into that series that I'm obviously going to put in more. So now,
Yeah.
if someone goes, "Hey, I don't know what to play. Do you want to play something?" I can throw out Binding of Isaac, and it's actually a true experience. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that.
That's
Um,
what's up, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
I feel like I know you kind of like we're talking about this with like Neo 2 or whatever, where it's like the game makes you better by the end of it. And I felt that way about like Rogue Legacy, because I remember like you had already beaten that game, and like it took me like basically 4 times as long as you to beat the game. And I couldn't tell if it was because I got like a shit roll of the dice with like the descendants. Because I was
Yeah,
like, I had to basically go through the upgrade trees to be able to like beat the game.
yeah.
Where like I had to basically like hard lock it, where it's like I know my skills like good enough, but like I'll get like colorblind or like poor vision mode or like some other bullshit roll of the dice. And I'm like, this run is like ruined. I just basically got to go in, try and get as much gold as I can in like the first stage and then like die. So
um, my first run of that game, I've beaten that game multiple times. Uh, I haven't checked out 2 yet, but my first run of the game where I beat it, um, I think my affliction was gigantism. So your hitbox is fucking huge. So fighting
yeah,
the final boss, I had to play perfect,
yeah,
because even like with his like ground burst attack, it was like I had gigantism, and I had something where I couldn't jump like as high, so I had to
all
like
right.
pixel perfect jump above the spikes that would pop out of the ground, and so it was a really rough boss fight. I remember beating it because at that point I was working at a card house, and I worked night shift, so I would come home at like 4 in the morning, and my now wife, who was my fiance at the time, she would work at 6 in the morning. So my pattern was I'd get home, she'd be still sleeping. I'd like to take her to work just so we could see each other before, because our schedules are completely different. And I'd play 2 hours of Rogue Legacy. I remember getting to the final boss. It was like the run of my life, even with gigantism and like a nerfed
Yeah.
jump. And her going, all right, I gotta go. And I'm like, just like looking, just like wide eyed, going, "Ah, oh, damn it, I'm like really into this." So I remember pausing it, right, taking her to work, like grabbing coffee and breakfast, ate that, came back, and I picked up my controller. And I'm not one to like have a sweaty controller. I it just doesn't work like that, but dude,
Diamond
there's this
hands.
controller too, man. This controller was like drenched in sweat because I was like so nervous and so hyped playing it, and then I ended up beating it. It was a very satisfying boss fight. That final boss fight was actually one of my favorites of the past like decade or so. It was
Yeah.
great. Um,
Yeah. It's like what the hell's it called? Where they it's in board games as well, where it's like you're basically like gambling, like the risk
mhm.
reward. Like or it's like a
Yep.
dungeon crawl, like where it's like you're like, oh, I can keep going, or I can like reset the run. Like,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, where
Yep.
you're all constantly risking more loot. Like you're like, oh, if I can bring back this loot, like that's good, or I could risk it all and like try and get more loot.
Yeah, what's
Uh,
funny with that game is you mentioned building your castle through the generations,
yeah,
which Rogue Legacy, for those who don't know, is a rogue light. Roguelikes are games where Like are games that when you die, you lose everything. You start over from scratch.
zero.
Roguelite, you have some sort of progression. It's very minuscule, but you can you build something to where it makes your next runs easier.
Like
Uh,
Rust.
we'll talk about that in a second. Um, um,
Like Minecraft.
so you had to. So once I beat the game and I didn't have my castle even near full built, so I played the game more and more just to get the achievement to having a fully built castle. And what's
Yeah,
funny is the game on like my third like run through with a full built castle was harder then than it was when I didn't have the full built castle, and it was
really.
because I kept getting like really crappy uh like heritage traits.
Yeah.
Like what is it like the where you're like super small and colorblind, or the one where you're confused? It was
I
just
think there's like one
so
where you
bad.
like
It's like
constantly have bleed. Like if you get
yeah,
like hurt, like you're just
yeah,
constantly lose HP
hemophilia.
after that point. Yeah, yeah.
Yep, yep,
Or it's just like, yep, that's it. Yeah, man. Like I definitely think there's like something to that. Like we talk about like what was the double fine one, like Chalice Age
yeah,
or
a massive
something?
chalice. Yeah,
Massive Chalice. Like they also did like a thing with like Descendants and stuff, and I think it was kind of a rogue like game.
I think and uh,
It's kind
games
of been
now
popular just to throw rogue like
they
into
throw
everything.
elements. Yeah, yeah, they throw elements
Well,
of
like
it.
even like almost as like marketing, almost. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Where it's like, oh, it has, the hydrations in it. It gives you energies. It is, low
Well,
carb, non-fat. You know,
I think that's the rise of harder
farm to
action
table.
RPGs like Dark Souls. Um, we have this subset of gamers who want a challenge, so
Yeah,
roguelikes
this this is why
are
I didn't
that
play
challenge. So
Celeste, because they have like a win mode. It's basically like a death mode. Like if you just hit pause, you can just like turn off like death and stuff, so you can just like
mhm,
glide through the game. And I
yeah,
was just like, I wish I didn't know that because now I don't want to play that game because I'm not gonna not use that button.
oh really?
Like,
Oh, Celeste
yeah,
is
to me,
amazing. You're missing out.
I know, bro, but like I grew up in like the age of like Game Genie and cheats, dude, where it's like if I'm gonna cheat, I'm just gonna do it. Like if you have the option, like where I could put in like the ABBACAB, like the yeah, put in that cheat code, dude, in my Shadowrun game, bro. I'm gonna have all the money. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah,
Whatever. Your
yep,
Konami codes or whatever, bro.
yep. Here,
You give me
up, down,
99
left,
guys in
right, BA.
Contra. Yeah,
Yep,
dude.
yep. So I, I don't know, because I always like the challenge, So even though those codes existed, I think like for Contra, I used that code to learn the later levels, and then I would beat it without it. Because I didn't even consider myself truly beating that game unless you beat it with vanilla settings.
It's
Um,
weird because I always like felt that way about strategy guides and like looking things up online. So
really?
like
Huh.
yeah. So like for like every RPG and shit, like all those like games like that came out like SNES and like PlayStation 1 where like I'd have friends who like beat like a game and I'm like, how'd you beat that shit so fast? It was so confusing. And they're like, oh, I just looked it up. And I was like, you cheater. like uh, it didn't make any sense to me. But like now that I'm older, like I just go fucking straight for the strategy guide now. Like
Really?
I don't
Huh.
have time. I don't have that time anymore, bro. Like when I played Cyberpunk and I was like, after I beat the game, like YouTube was like, "Would you like to see where like these hidden legendary weapons are?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I would." And it's like in like some back alley, like in the corner of a map. And I'm like, "Yeah, I never would have stumbled onto this playing the proper game." And I didn't have time to like jump around like in every alley and like look into like this one nook and cranny. They have like a car you can get like by opening up a garage that it needs a key code that you never find in the game. I think someone just
Okay.
looked up like the files is like, oh, this was a mission, but they kind of took it out, but like the reward is still there. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I'll go do that. Like, but I never would have, looked into the code to find that.
Yeah,
Would have
yeah,
never data mined the game. But yeah, man,
right, right. But
there's something. Oh, go on.
no, no, no. I was just gonna go on with my point for roguelikes, but you had a thought.
I was. It's gone now, bro. Like it's in there.
Perfect, perfect. This has been the combo one, but no, I'm kidding. uh, but yeah,
Yeah,
like
bish.
I think people looking for a harder challenge, and it's because games now are, for the most part, you can just like head into wall, beat these games without really any true effort, right? Like games
So
we
here's
grew up
another thing,
on.
though.
Yeah,
Did we just all get better at video games too, though?
that's
Have you
a
considered
good
that?
point.
Because like
That's a
if you
good
go
point.
back and like play a lot of like NES games and stuff, I'm like, sure they're challenging, but they're not really that hard. Like, but I'm like, I can't tell if like beating like Mega Man like 1 through 5. I'm
Hmm.
like, I can't tell if I just have that rope memorization from like playing it like once every like couple of years,
Yeah.
or have I just gotten like that much better? Like, I don't think they. To me, that game's become easy, but like I know it's kind of looked at as like a harder like game, like those older games, like where it's like you don't have like the Buster charge, like you have to have pixel perfect jumping in like places, but like you have to have like like perfect pattern memorization of like certain bosses. But it's already kind of like ingrained into me, where when I play like newer games now, like I'm faster to recognize like the patterns and like the rules of a game almost, where like you have like an understanding of like, because I've heard this for like the Uncharted series, where there's like beautiful scenes and stuff, but like if you go like slightly off the path of like a scripted scene, it's just like no, game over. You have to like go back. And you didn't do anything wrong, you didn't break anything, but it was like a scripted scene. Like you're not supposed to leave this area, or like try and go like around, or like not pick up like this weapon or whatever. Uh, so like there's rules that video games have taught us over time, where it makes all games easier. And like I feel like also like the button precision, like the where where like the position of buttons are on your controller and stuff, so like if you get a button prompt, like you're not confused. And like there's only so many genre and type of games where uh you have some level of mastery over it. Like if me and you picked up an FPS, we're gonna have like a mid-level competency, and then like we're gonna be able to approach like the high level gameplay. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's like a badly made FPS, because it's already constricted to like the rules of the genre. So I'm gonna say like video games as a whole have been teaching us how to play video games better. I don't think
That's a
they've become easier. We've just become more skilled
that's a good
as
that's a
a
good argument to
community.
that. I think that retro games and like the Mega Man series, uh, like have you when the Legacy Collection came out, I remember Twitter going, "How the fuck did anyone beat this game?" You know, because like newer,
Yeah.
like younger people were playing it, and they're like, and like a lot of them have like this quitter mentality of like this game's too hard, I'm not gonna play it, or they just like
This is
in the Legacy Collection
impossible.
you could save scum it and then just save and then keep trying, which is whatever, man. I think that for me,
Who
and one
does
of the
that?
reasons
Why
I
would you save Scum Mega Man, dude? That defeats the purpose.
yeah, yeah,
Flashback.
You can just like turn off like death and stuff, so you can just like
mhm,
glide through the game. And
yeah,
I was just
it's
like, I wish I didn't know that, because now I don't want to play that game, because I'm not gonna not use that button.
oh really?
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
Celeste is
to me,
amazing. You're missing out.
End of flashback.
And I think that for me and why I liked video games, you know, is like you could always have that challenge wherever you are, you know. I like being challenged in things. Um, like easy mode existing is fine, but for me, there's like a sense of gratification that comes from a challenge, which is why I lean into roguelikes. Don't get me wrong, like
yeah,
I love the games nowadays, like the Uncharted series you mentioned. They're phenomenal, dude. They're great
yeah.
games. Like I absolutely love them. Are they difficult? No. Like you can play it on hard, and it's actually like a decent challenge. But overall, they don't hold a candle to the Contras, the Mega Mans, the Ninja Gaidens of yesteryear. But sometimes that's not what you what you're after either. Like their point
Yeah, man.
is like
Sometimes I
they're a
just want, like,
popcorn
a
movie
great
that you play. Like, and that's
Yeah.
sometimes that's all I want. Sometimes I just want explosions.
Yeah.
Not when it's Ninja Turtles by Michael Bay, but sometimes that's what I want.
Sometimes
Just had to throw
it's
it out
good,
there.
man. Like, yeah.
um,
Why
but
do you gotta bring that up, bro? Nobody's even talking about Ninja Turtles and Michael Bay right now, bro.
I just brought up explosions.
It's a great popcorn, flick. Like, if you're giving examples of great popcorn flicks to enjoy, it's definitely one of them. You're putting it up there with like the Uncharted, critically acclaimed series. So yeah, I can see that. I can see the parallels, definitely.
I
But
would
yeah,
love
man, it's like you're saying,
to
like,
know this crazy like backwards world where you live in where Ninja Turtles is good.
yeah, it's fun, man. It's like, I'm not saying, like, yeah, like, it's no Citizen Kane or whatever, bro. Like, I don't know what lofty expectations you have. Like, oh, you should watch that Mortal Kombat movie, didn't you? You said you liked that.
Sure did. Yeah, I did.
People
like that.
have been dunking on that. They're like, my mom likes it, so it's probably bad. Like, that's somebody's legitimate review of Mortal Kombat I heard the other day. So I want to watch it. I still have to see that.
It's good. It's a good B movie. I think if
Nice.
you keep your expectations, here, that'll surprise you. It does things from the game that that you having played the game will recognize and laugh your ass off at.
All right.
Kano steals the show. Kano's the greatest. Uh, and if you play any of the new games, they do some bread and butter combos from the games, which is very interesting. Like, since my main was Kung Lao, there's a scene where Kung Lao does this little combo where he takes his hat and he starts doing a combo that's one of Kung Lao's just main tools that you
Signature
have.
moves.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, damn, that's a great attention to detail from the director, because that's 100% from the game. And there's a point in the trailer that you saw where Sub-Zero creates an ice wall and throws Scorpion into it. That's also from the game. That's legitimately his throw in the game, which I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Nice.
That's cool. He had it. But I'm getting off topic. So with roguelikes, it's the inherent challenge, and like the rise of Dark Souls and stuff, I think made roguelikes easier to stomach for the greater public at large. And then you have, I think you can, and with the rogue genre too, you have such a vast wealth. You could take every single video game genre and apply it like a roguelike formula to it, and you could have like something new and great, like Cadence or Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's a rhythm game. You're running around a dungeon to a beat, it's and it's a roguelike because it's you're fighting monsters, you level, you keep going deeper and deeper into the dungeon. If you die, you lose everything. It's fantastic, and it was good enough for these indie devs. Nintendo was like, hey bruh, can you do that but for Zelda? And they did, and Cadence of Hyrule is fucking amazing. So, you take that, you take a rhythm game, roguelike, it works. Binding of Isaac, it's like it's always compared to like Legend of Zelda, right? Like Legend of Zelda Dungeons, and with like shooter like shmup elements, and it
Your
works,
Smash
man.
TV.
Yeah, your Smash TVs, and it works, and you have like the orbiting stuff like Smash TV. A lot of the power ups from Binding of Isaac and Smash TV are live next to each other. I also love Binding of Isaac's like grotesque art style, and it's like sophomoric humor with like the poop stuff everywhere. Everything about that game I love, and the story is dealing with just like depression and just like this religion versus like nurture and things like that. It's like, if you actually look into it, it's ridiculous. Darkest Dungeon, it could be Darkest Dungeon could be just a board game that you play. It could be like could live next to like Arkham Horror. But actually it basically is Arkham Horror, but with the insanity element and stuff. It's fantastic.
It's in like the Cthulhu tabletop like games where they have like a sanity checks for everything.
Yep.
So it's like every time you run into like something scary, it's like, all right, you're gonna lose some sanity now, and eventually like everyone's gonna die in your group.
Yeah, in Darkest Dungeon, I fought the great old one, one of the cosmic bosses, and one of my guys went insane, and I had to not only fight the boss, but fight my buddy who went insane and kept attacking my party. And
Yeah,
then
man.
he was also our healer, and so like him being insane, he would like hit a party and then heal the monster. so
Yeah.
so you're dealing with that, and it's one of those things where it's just you have stories like that in every roguelike if you take the time to play it. Um,
I
one of
mean,
my
you look at like a Dwarven Fortress where
Dwarf
like
Fortress,
it's
yeah,
like a auto-generated world, but like it puts elements in there where like any kind of story can like unravel from like uh just the elements that they put in place where yeah, like if you're like not paying attention to where your dwarfs are mining, like their caves can get flooded, and then like uh some of the dwarfs get depression like from like the previous dwarfs that died, and then like sickness and disease can spread, and like yeah, like there's enough. I know that game was like text based, and they're finally making like a proper graphical
uh, there's
user interface.
there's always been GUIs for it. It's just
Yeah,
they're kind of like combining the best ones for it. I haven't tried Dwarf Fortress out, and
I've
it's
been waiting for
crazy.
the
You want a
2D
graphical?
interface for it. Yeah. I'm
Gotcha.
like, I'm not reading text and shit. Dude, like one of the first roguelikes I played were like was an ASCII game.
Yep.
And it
Can you
was
explain
like
ASCII for everyone who doesn't know?
it's just like, numbers and letters
To
on the
make art.
screen to
Yeah. Yeah.
represent art. Like it's like the keyboard, like the 256 characters or whatever. And
Yeah.
so it'll be like a lot of like ampersands or like
The
like
at symbol and
yeah,
yep.
to like
Yep.
make walls and stuff out of that.
Yep.
Uh
Yep.
so yeah, like it was one of those, and like you had to like hit numbers to like choose basically like a D&D style character, and then like you like grow them, and then they die after like level 3 or 4, and then you get better and you learn more of the rules and try and figure out like the best combinations. But like that type of gameplay, it does lend itself to like everything really. So
Yeah.
but like after going into like delving that deep into it for like Dwarf Fortress, I'm like I can't do another one of these, man. I need I need some of the nice things in life, and it looks like they're trying to make that. I know the guy's been like doing a Patreon to like get it up and running,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think they have like a Steam page, and I think it's supposed to release this year, or maybe it released last year.
That guy works on his own time, so I think that
Yeah, he's
when
always
it's done,
pushes it
it's
back.
done.
He's a fucking
His
lunatic, dude. Have
his
you
update
seen?
note or the AI he made for Dwarf Fortress is a roguelike that's been in constant development for near 20 years now, right? And
He's been working on it
it's
since
been
like a little kid with his bro, and like
yeah,
it's always been
so
like a passion project that they do.
yep, yep. And so he's reached a point where the AI sometimes does things on its own, which is incredible. So there was an issue where the dwarfs would steal armor and weapons from chests and hide them. And
Yeah,
and then one of the patch notes just said "found the thief," and then he just like went into like further detail. So that game, like on the outset of it, sounds amazing, but also it has so many systems and it's so deep where I just don't have the time to like truly delve into it. But I follow it. It's
yeah.
fantastic.
I'm
But
waiting for the proper release for human people.
yeah,
I know there's
so
like a YouTube channel that does like Dwarf Fortress stories, and they
yep,
like read like crazy stories that like people have had like in there. So like those are that's like my depth. I'll go into Dwarf Fortress where I'm like, oh, I'll watch some of these on YouTube. I'll
yeah,
enjoy your adventures, kids.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, for sure. Emergent gameplay is what roguelikes like show us. A lot of the ones that do have story, fine, but most of them don't really have a story. You're just trying to get to the boss and kill it. But there's so many emergent stories for what happened, whether it's Slay the Spire. I talked to one of our mutual friends, Heart on the Table, who I gifted Slay the Spire to him for Christmas, and he because knowing how he likes CCGs, and
he's
he's been
been playing
playing
that
it.
game nonstop, dude.
Yeah. I think I created a
Like every
monster.
time I'm on Steam, I see him on there. I don't talk to him anymore. Like every once in a while, I'll text him. I'm like, "What's going on, man?" He's like, "Nothing, man. Just kicking it." And then like I'll come home and like on Steam, he's like, "Slay the Spire." I'm like, "Son of a bitch."
Yeah, yeah. One of the stories that he's shared recently with Slay the Spire is he had like he was going to build like a poison build for this boss, or just to do a run, and then he ended up having to rely on his poison because none of his physical attacks would hit this boss because of it had thorns, which would anything you attacked would attack back, and every time, and it had another buff where if you attacked it, it gained more strength, so its next attack would be higher. So what he was doing is like stacking poison onto this boss because poison doesn't do damage until their turn, and he had nothing but like block cards and block buffs for himself. So he reached a point where he had like 99 block, and he just kept poisoning this enemy. He just had to wait it out, So it's one of those things where you have to, like, situations arise where you have to think on the fly, and sometimes you don't have the necessary tools, so that's going to be a death. But I think when you escape things by like the skin of your teeth like that, it leads to fantastic stories, and it keeps you coming back.
And I think you really hit the nail out when you're talking about like principles and designs for, like, I know they tried that a lot with like the Breath of the Wild game with like Zelda, where they're like everything in the environment interacts with each other, and like so you have these emergent like gameplay stories that like just start up where like you'll be messing around, you'll start something on fire, then like all of a sudden like half the ground's burned, and like a tree falls over and like hits like a group of enemies, and now like you're in like a situation that you otherwise wouldn't be. I
Yep.
think, like you said, like every game can like have these elements, and like it lends itself to like a lot of emergent gameplay, a lot of almost like we talked about like
Sorry.
a D&D and like Call of Cthulhu for like
Yep.
uh the classic almost roguelike games where you don't really think about because a lot of people invest, years into like a character that they make, uh that they play and like role play, but like when that guy dies, like you gotta roll again, man, get a new sheet, make a new
Yep.
character.
Yep.
uh,
Yep. Yeah. And so rogue games come from the original game called Rogue, which was an ASCII dungeon crawler, and it's one of those games where roguelikes have probably the longest shelf life. If you like those games, Rogue came out in the 80s and people are still playing it. It actually just got released on Steam not too long ago, with like a graphical interface, and you can buy it for $5. A game from the 80s, I might add, that people are still paying money for to play it, and it's still full of emergent stories. NetHack is another game where it has this huge community around it, just like Dwarf Fortress, where there's like a lot of graphical interfaces and stuff like that, and emergent stories. And some people have gone
Shit, dude.
years without a win in that game, but just so much stuff
NetHack?
happens in NetHack. Yeah. Some people
Holy
go years with it, and I've played NetHack. NetHack is amazing.
Yeah,
But
same.
yeah. So I was
I
lucky
haven't thought
enough
about
to get
NetHack in years, bro.
right, but those memories that you have, I'm guessing they're all good, right? Just
Yeah, they're positive, man. Like it's
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
roguelikes are just one of those things, man, where it's each run something crazy can happen, and whether good or bad, it's a new experience. and
Yeah.
and it's one of those genres that just keeps on giving, man. It's like you ever like just throw seeds out into like a garden, and then you forget to label them, so it's like, what's this? Oh crap, I grew a tomato, cool. Or there's a jalapeno growing like randomly. It's like that, but every time. So
Yeah.
I love it, man.
So what you're saying is when you make a roguelike farming sim, like Stardew Valley, but
That
with
could
some
work, man.
roguelike,
That could work.
every genre.
Yeah, man. Every genre could be a
I
roguelike.
feel almost that because it's been such a popular franchise and there's a lower barrier to entry, almost like the indie community's been like flooding the market with them, and like not in a good way, or like a lot of like generic roguelikes, like a lot of
Yeah.
like asset flips, if you will, of like, here's a roguelike, enjoy. It's like
It's super
this,
apparent on mobile as well. Yeah.
yeah, where it's, I don't know, I feel like it's almost killing the genre almost, with so many subpar products
I
for games.
I think every couple of months, another tentpole release in the genre comes out where that keeps it afloat. But that could be said for every gaming genre, though. Like how many throwaway FPSs are released daily? You know,
Yeah,
that
how
are
many
just
like
asset flips.
Fortnite clones and fucking Minecraft clones are there right now, like on the App Store? You know,
Exactly, exactly. So I think like you'll have like imitation like imitators, asset flips, things like that. But every so often you get games that just shine through, and like one of the things that I didn't think I'd like. Have you ever played Dicey Dungeons?
no,
It's like a card plus like dice rolling roguelike that
kind
I
of
was
like
like,
pen and paper. Do you ever play pen and
yeah, yeah, I
paper?
have played pen and paper. Yeah, yeah.
Is it like
It's
that kind of, or
I'd compare it to it. That's fair. That's fair.
all
But
right.
it's one of those things where it's such a simple concept that just lends itself to emergent stories and just great gameplays, and it's always the one more go feel.
Yeah, just
Which
one more run.
exactly,
And then
exactly.
it's like you're saying, like sometimes you get those runs, those perfect runs where it's like you're
Yep,
you just fucking cutting through everything, and you're like everything's coming up for you, like the cards or whatever, everything, like the drops. You're like, this is perfect, this is great,
yep,
and you're like feeling it,
yep,
and you beat everything, and you're like, I won,
yep.
I did it.
No other genre and in the same game and sometimes in the same run can make you feel like Superman going through a world made of cardboard and then a regular person going through a world made of steel. You know, like
Yeah,
you have both extremes, and just overcoming some of that is great. Sometimes in Rogue, like in Slay the Spire, I'll take a bunch of curses to make it harder because like beating a boss with all of these negative effects is like that sense of accomplishment. Like I don't there's usually it's like one of those things where you I don't want to say you make your own fun, but you make your own challenge. You know, it's like you only get challenged for what you're comfortable with, and roguelikes really lend themselves to doing that, which is
yeah.
phenomenal.
I think
Uh,
it's really hard to like program good combative AI as well too, and I think we're about to see like the next evolution of like computer AI in like gaming, at least,
yeah.
where they're using real players as like the training models for a lot of like I know that like EA is already kind of doing it for like I want to say Battlefield, where they're trying to like learn from like online matchmaking. I know like I think I saw like a GDC with Blizzard's doing it for like Overwatch, and I
Oh,
think
they're doing their neural network like
yeah, they try
studies,
and
right?
catch
With it.
cheaters and stuff. I know like they're doing the same thing with on Steam for Counter Strike, where they're using AI to like try and like figure like catch cheaters quicker, and like ban them. But they're
It's
also
not
using it
working.
to like yeah, but they're also using it to train AI as well to like act more like a player,
Yeah.
like more human esque. So I think you're gonna see like a like I got into games on like certain mobile games where like you'll play against other people, and like I'm pretty sure like some of these are bots. Like they're not real like people.
Yeah.
Because like it was like no human would like do this setup that they're like doing. This seems like an AI that they have programmed to give the illusion of like a challenge. Because they don't have anybody that is that bad at the game. But you need like scrubs to like climb up on to like get better. Like so I don't and I felt the same way about like a couple of like other games. And then like I had no proof for like the matchmaking and stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Uh, but I could see what I'm saying is like there's gonna be like that paradigm shift here in like the next 5 years where AI is gonna get to the point where uh I know they kind of did it in like I think Resident Evil 4 or 5, where in the back the game adapts to your play and like it becomes harder, like the better you are and easier, the worse you are. So I could see like a lot of games becoming more adaptive to how you play and like tailor the challenge for you. And like
Okay.
roguelites already do that kind of out of the box. but but I think like all game types are about to like have that like start to give you more of that experience
Okay. Yeah.
ideally going forward. Like
Yeah. Yeah. I I'm here for it. That's all right. That's all right.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I'm saying games
s-
are good and they're gonna get better, dude.
exactly. Exactly.
Just like Michael
S-
Bay's Ninja Turtles.
it is what it is.
Gotta get the trilogy. Get the third movie.
Yeah. Right. So with roguelikes, I have to say, it's definitely like I've said before, my two favorite genres are FPS and fighting. Number three is definitely the roguelike genre. Um, Depending on the day, it's probably like if you've seen me on Steam, like I'm either playing what fighting game, shooting game, or like a roguelike, right? Like it's those three.
Yeah.
Like very rarely is it something else. So um, I think that it like if you haven't tried it, I think that you can probably find a game in the genre that you'd like. You know,
Yeah.
like card games, Slay the Spire, like do you like Mega Man
Rhythm games.
20XX, 30XX coming? You like tough platformers with the platform combat. Rogue Legacy's there. Um, Dead Cells, of course, which was a better combat model. What else? Like you like
They're
over the
out there,
top
man.
dungeon things, Binding of Isaac. You know, you're right. Rhythm games. You have Cadence of or I'm sorry, Crypt of the Necrodancer, or if you have a Switch, Cadence of Hyrule. Hades was game of the year from a bunch of publications, and it's probably one of the most fair roguelikes that's come out in a while. Where I think
Are
most
puzzle
people
games
can beat it.
roguelikes?
I would argue that they're not. They have elements, but I think something like Puzzle Quest, with a couple of gameplay tweaks. I think one of them had like a daily run or something.
Okay.
I think that would constitute being a roguelike. But there's no well, no, Puzzle Quest did have leveling. Yeah, I think it could be. I think, like I said, I think
Yeah, there's
every
potential like
genre.
every genre.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can't even think of a genre where you can't do it. I'm pretty sure there's a racing roguelike. I just can't think of the name, where it's like a racing game and you're just getting better and better the more races you win. You know, it's
I mean, that's every race game, really.
yeah,
Like,
right, true.
you get more of the digital, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at
So
your Gran Turismos, man.
yep,
Look at your
yep.
Forzas. It was always a roguelike.
It's always there. Yeah,
It
yeah,
was always there.
yeah,
You just
man.
weren't paying attention, kid.
So great genre. I'd say for me, my top three roguelikes are Binding of Isaac number one, Slay the Spire number two, number three. Right now, I'm gonna put Spelunky 2 in that spot. Because
Okay.
because of recency bias. But shout out to Nuclear Throne. Shout out to let's see, it's the one by Dodge Roll Games. Enter the Gungeon. Um,
Yeah. There's a
there's
few of them.
there's
Who's
Rogue Legacy, Risk of Rain,
Super
Risk of Rain
Giant
2.
Games just came out with one too. The hell was it? You know what I'm talking about?
What else is Super Giant
Just
made?
dropped
I'm
it.
just gonna have to.
Hades.
Yeah,
I think.
Hades.
Yeah, for the
Yeah. I thought we already mentioned that. My fault.
Uh,
Yeah. But Hades is also amazing.
I had to think of it. I was like, what the fuck is it called? It was
Yeah, yeah,
Greek
so,
mythology, Underlord. Yeah.
exactly, man. So it something for everyone. There's, like what I want. There's some FPS ones too. Ziggurat 2 is I think it's leaving early access, which looks pretty good. Uh, yeah, man, I could Wraith or something like that. Anyway, there's a lot. I own a lot. But yeah, those are three of my
They're
favorites.
amazing.
And now, Chip, I know you like when we thought about this topic, you said you wouldn't have anything to add. Are there any roguelikes that you yourself like? Do you have enough experience with it to do a top three?
I don't even. I don't know. Like I think I've only played like the three. Like I played that one OG ASCII ass fucking roguelike.
Yeah,
Uh,
NetHack, you
don't.
said?
I played some NetHack, sure.
Sure.
I've played like Rogue Legacy, NetHack. I was looking through my Steam library before this, and like I don't really have any in there.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I saw in there was like Rogue Legacy. It's like, oh, fucking Rogue Legacy. That's right. I haven't played Binding of Isaac yet, and I know it's like blasphemous because like everyone I talk to loves that game.
Yeah.
But they also
I've
like
gotten a few
everybody,
people into it too.
fucking everybody I look at though, like the hours they put into that game. Like if you look at their profile, I'm like, I don't have that fucking time, dude. Like it's like thousands of hours. I'm like, this shit seems too fun. It's too addicting. Like I played a little. I tried to play Dwarf Fortress at one point, and I was like, I don't get this because there's like so much to it, and so I didn't get too deep into that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I haven't played Slay the Spire yet. Yeah, man. Like I
Okay.
don't think it really. I think like all the games we kind of mentioned are all bangers in the genre,
Yeah.
and I know
Yeah.
there's like plenty of other stuff in there as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
It's enough where like I've been thinking about it. It's definitely like one of the next three type of games I want to try and make is
yeah.
like a roguelike game.
Yeah.
Uh, where I should probably try and play more and like do more research at some point, but I don't know. There's something you've said this to me too, where you're like, you gotta play like newer games, bro. Like all of your game design ideas are fucking stuck in the '90s, and
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but they're good games, bro. And you're like, nobody likes these fucking games like this anymore. They're way too hard.
Yeah.
Like these
Yeah.
are easy, dude. And you're like, you're in your own world, bro. You're always playing your own game. Like this is why you think it's easy. It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Another game I forgot to mention, Monolith. It's a shmup roguelike that's amazing, and more people should play it. It has an
FTL, do
expansion
we
too.
say FTL?
We did, but that's one of the first ones that really got the genre rolling. FTL is amazing. If you haven't played it, just play it.
Yeah.
Into the Breach. Yeah, good stuff, man. So
Yeah. Risk of Rain.
yep, I did mention Risk of Rain.
1, 2.
20XX. Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Not great games, man.
Yeah. So it's right around the end of the podcast here. We
Yeah.
got a couple of minutes here. Any closing thoughts from you on this? You said you were going to make something with it. Do you think
Yeah,
that
like that Advance Wars
yeah
style game.
yeah
That's what I
is
was thinking of.
now do you think that there's something that roguelikes do that kind of hurt it, and why it's still like a in its own world in the greater gaming zeitgeist?
I think most people love and appreciate roguelikes. I think they lend themselves more to like that shovelware where like a lot of because it's such a good idea and concept that the barrier of entry is so low. Like you're just seeing like the market be flooded. Like every other game you see like coming out or being announced, it's like, oh, it's a roguelike, Metrovania. Like and it's like, yeah, those are cool, but like you're not I don't know. And like not every game has to like elevate the genre or whatever, or, like try and do something interesting or different. But when
Yeah,
you
you
see
can
like
just
a
make
bunch
something
of
fun.
yeah, but there's like a difference between like fun and just like low effort, like things that people are putting out. So I think like you're seeing that, and I don't think that's the genre's fault. You know what I'm saying? Like where it's like, oh, it's so good, everyone tries to like throw out like their copy and paste work.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I would say not everything also needs to be a roguelike though. You
true, true.
know, because like I don't know, like there's something to be said about like a good tailor designed experience where you have a producer's eye that curates an experience for you and like how you're going to experience the environment and interact with it. So
Yeah,
there's something to that, like your Nathan Drakes of like a good curated story uh, that you're gonna enjoy, and like there's a director or producer's touch through every level, and like is gently guiding you to like the proper solution. Where
yeah,
roguelikes, since there's a lot of RNG, like even in the level design, you'll run into a lot of incomprehensible problems. Like you'll go into a room and you're like, this room doesn't make any fucking sense. Like it shouldn't be here. Like so
yeah,
you get almost like the uncanny valley of like it doesn't look right and it's kind of upsetting.
yeah.
So I think like that's where they fit. What about you, man? Any like
You,
problems you see with the genre?
you mentioned something that I was going to mention, and it nearly hit it on the head. Uh, the one aspect of roguelikes that a lot of developers are doing to be lazy and tout it as a feature is randomly generated levels, right? Um, you're right. Not every game needs to be a roguelike. Not every level needs to be randomly generated. A lot of the times, you're most likely not going to be Spelunky, where all of their randomly generated tiles like fit seamlessly, and you have like a great world. I think another one that did it pretty well, but the tiles were bland was uh, Remnant, Shadows of Ash or Ashes of whatever. It was like a Souls like game, but with shooting. And the game itself I really enjoyed, but the level design from everything being randomized how they did it was just with really bland set pieces, so you don't have like the majesty of something curated. Um, and I think that's probably the aspect that hurts other genres most.
Yeah.
A lot of roguelike games, you get away with like bland environments and stuff, but it shouldn't be the norm. So that's one negative takeaway that I can take from it.
I would say there's like a great GDC video from the creators of Splunky where
Yep.
he talked. There's like a lot of behind the scenes to make those fit together better. Like it's not completely random, like the way he generates levels. There's like a bit of a method behind it, and like
Y-
to make
Yeah,
them feel good.
yeah.
And then
There's
like
like a yeah,
he took like the ones that that feel and look the best together, and then like brought them into separate seeds, so it's only generating from like good seeds of already pre-selected, so it's already a bit curated. And then like yeah, so there's a lot more thought, I think, than like I'm saying, there's like that base level, entry level, where uh
you,
that hurts the genre a lot, where people stop at the first thing like, good enough. Like,
yeah.
it's not good enough, bro.
Exactly. So yeah, that's my final takeaway. So yeah, man, thanks for joining me this morning. I know we're a little later than usual before the
Thanks
before
for
the pod.
joining me, bro.
Appreciate
Good to
it.
see you.
Yeah, man, you as well, dude. Yeah, we had the live episode last time, and back to
Gotta
our own
do another
respective
one,
places.
man.
We do. So yeah, we'll get that. We'll
I
get
had
that
to
going soon.
I had to get all this stuff set up back in here, dude. It was a
Yeah,
mission.
yeah. I was thinking next time we could do like a lapel mic or something if we have them.
For
Like
I could pick some up.
yeah,
Yeah,
try that.
they're
Yeah.
super affordable.
Anyway, for
We'll do lapel mics in the studio next time.
yeah, I think that could work out.
All right, it's interesting.
Because it'll. I think the setup might be easier, right?
Oh,
Because
we'll
we have the
find out.
USB issue. We'll see. All right, guys. So
I think of the tracks. If we just separate the tracks in OBS,
yeah,
when you go to edit, you can get rid of. It becomes a lot easier. Like it shows up as 2 tracks of audio instead of
yeah,
1.
for sure.
But whatever, man. It's live and learn. This is how you get better, by doing.
That's true. So everybody who's been
Just
watching,
like roguelikes.
everybody who's been listening, definitely appreciate the support. We see it.
Our podcast is basically a roguelike.
Right.
Every week.
We see it growing. So we appreciate everybody who's giving us the time out of their day, out of their morning commute, when you're getting dressed in the morning, when you're going to bed at night. We appreciate.
Hey, you're
everybody.
welcome, people.
So
we're out here creating fucking platinum content for these people for free. So you're welcome.
right.
Thanks.
Right.
Hey, you're welcome for all the subscribes you gave us, for all the follows.
Right. So
all the recommendation to other people. You tell them they're welcome too. Because they're
So spread the word, hit that
Stay
subscribe
humble.
button, follow us. For Chipped Monk, I'm Mr. Gimpy. Follow us, you bitch. We'll see you next time.
Give it.